Good morning, children. Welcome back to your English class. Today we'll learn a wonderful poem from your literature text, Daybreak, written by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. W.Longfellow, he was a greatest American poet of 19th century. His poetry is known for its lyrical quality, song-like features, and distinct musicality. He often used folk and mythical stories as material for his poetry. So let's learn about this wonderful poem, Daybreak. Daybreak, as I told you all, it's a lyrical poem. An urge to work is the central theme of this poem. It is written in a lovely couplets. What do you mean by couplets? Couplet means line of poem that usually rhymes. Okay, keeping in mind the flow of wind, the poet applies a breezy style to the poem. It seems that we move on with the wind from one place to another. The poet personifies the wind, actually placing his own words into its lips. He successfully catches the mood and atmosphere of the earth at the daybreak. On the whole, the poem is very enjoyable. Okay, so this is the introduction of the poem Daybreak. Okay, now what is the poetic device here? The figure of speech used here is personification. Okay, as and when we summarize, let's discuss about this personification. What the poet says, a wind came up out of the sea and said, "O mist, make room for me." It hailed the ships and cried, "Sail on. Hey mariners, the night is gone." So at the daybreak, a wind rises from the sea. Can you see the wind rising here? A wind rises from the sea. It receives the message of morning and starts to blow. The heavy mist obstructs the wind. What do you mean by the word mist, children? Mist is light rain or small drops of water in the air. Can you see here? This is the wind. The wind, it rises from the sea. The wind is rising from the sea. So this is the heavy mist obstructs the wind. This is the picture of a wind. But the wind is determined to blow. It is in haste. Haste means what? Speed. It is in haste and wants to make all awake. So it requests the mist not to obstruct it. It wants all of us to awake. Therefore, it is requesting the mist not to obstruct, not to disturb. What does it do? It first sees the ships anchored. Ships anchored. Can you see this in this picture? It hailed the ships and cried, "Sail on." First see the ships anchored. Now what do you mean by the word anchored, children? Anchored means an anchor is a heavy hook object that is dropped from the boat into the water. This is the meaning of an anchor. Can you see this? So this is the anchor. So it first sees the ships anchored. They should be set free from their anchors as the sun rises and the darkness is over. Can you see the sun rising here? They should be set free from their anchors as the sun rises and darkness is over. The wind reminds the mariners to undertake a new journey. What does the wind do? The wind reminds the mariners. Mariners means what? Sailors. That is, a mariner is a person who navigates or helps or assists. That is, a seaman or a sailor. The wind reminds the mariners to undertake a new journey. It blows over the distant lands and calls all to arise and awake. It calls the forest to unfold its leaves. It calls the forest to unfold its leaves, twigs, and branches fully and freely. It tells the wood birds to get up and start singing. See, these are the leaves and twigs. It calls the forest to unfold its leaves and twigs, branches fully and freely. And what does it tell? It tells the birds to get up and start singing. And the birds' song will announce the beginning of the day. Have you heard, children, in the morning? You must have heard the chirping of the birds in the morning. So what does it do? It tells the wood birds to get up and start singing. Therefore, the birds, their song will announce the beginning of the day. The bird's song announces the beginning of the day. It prompts the domestic cocks to herald the day. That is, it touched the wood bird's folded wings and said, "O bird, awake and sing." And over the farms, "O chanticleer." What do you mean by the word chanticleer? Chanticleer is the name of a rooster in the European tale of Reynard the Fox. This is the chanticleer or the rooster. So it prompts the domestic cocks, the roosters, to herald the day. And then what happens? The light of the sun is a source of life to plants. The wind tells them to bow down their heads and express their gratitude. So over here, "And over the farms, o'er Canticleer, your clarion blow, the day is near." What do you mean by the word clarion? Clarion is a trumpet with a shrill sound. You must have heard this, isn't it? The trumpets. So this is the clarion. It is a trumpet with a shrill sound. So when this blows, that means the day is nearer. Okay. And it whispered to the fields of corn. This is the field of corn. Have you seen? It whispered to the fields of corn, "Bow down and hail the coming morn." It shouted through the belfry tower, "Awake, O bell, proclaim the hour." What do you mean by the word belfry tower, children? Belfry tower. It's a bell tower, especially one attached to a church. So this is a bell tower that is attached to a church. And this is a picture of a church. Okay, it shouted through the belfry tower, "Awake, O bell, proclaim, announce the hour." It crossed the churchyard with a sigh and said, "Not yet in quiet lie." That is, the light of the sun is the source of life to plants. The wind tells them to bow down their heads and express their gratitude. The wind passes through the church tower and results the bell to sing, results the bell to ring. Finally, the wind arrives at the graveyard of the church. It sighs sadly for the dead and softly tells them to sleep on because it is not Judgment Day. Is that clear? So it crossed the churchyard with a sigh and said, "Not yet in quiet lie." That is, as the wind passes through the church tower and results the bell to ring, the wind arrives at the graveyard. That is the last one. It arrives at the graveyard of the church. It sighs sadly for whom? For the persons who are no more. Sadly for the dead, and it softly tells them to sleep on because it is not a Judgment Day. That is, the wind is loud and cheerful as it blows over the sea and the land, but the moment it comes, it lowers its voice to show the respect to God and his worshippers in the church and the dead buried in the churchyard. So this is the summary of the poem Daybreak. And the figure of speech used here is personification. So personification is a figure of speech where a non-living is given human qualities. For example, mist, bird, cornflakes, belfry, tower. Is that clear? And here the poet uses very simple and clear rhyming scheme over here. Now we have to see what is the rhyming scheme. It is AA, BB, CC and DD. And the figure of speech used here is banner, like flag. Banner, flag, it is a metaphor. Is that clear, children? So this is all about your poem Daybreak. Okay, it's a lyrical poem.